Hi, this is Mrs. Mallet, and today we're going to talk about how to find the domain of a rational expression. Right now, my problems are written in function notation. That's what f of x stands for. It's in function notation. But when it comes to finding the domain, you want to look at the denominator. Okay, we want to figure out what will make this undefined. Now, the definition of undefined is when your denominator equals 0. That's on the bottom. We don't want the bottom to be 0. So I gave you this one to start off with. X minus 3. What number, if I put right here for x, will make that whole bottom 0? Well, if you think about it, 3 minus 3 is 0. So in this case, x cannot be, that's cannot be, the equal sign with a slash in it, 3, because then we'll get 0 on the bottom, which will make the rational expression undefined. And that's what we are trying to find. I call it try to find your hot button, your hot number, because that's what you don't want, so you want to find that. Okay, so in this example, another way to do that is set that bottom up equal to 0 and then solve. So x minus 3 equals 0. Add 3 to both sides here. Add 3 to both sides. And then you get the same thing that we got earlier. X cannot be 3 because then that will make the whole expression undefined. So let's take a look at the next example here. Now what about this one? I have x minus 5 over 9. Now you can't really set that bottom up equal to 0 because then that really won't be a true statement. And notice that in the previous example we had x minus 3. Or x plus something. You're going to find the x in the bottom, but when you have a number like this, there's no way to solve that. So in this instance here, your denominator is going to be all real numbers. That means you're going to get a number out of it because of the fact that you have a real number in the denominator. And last but not least, we have this example here. X minus 10 over x squared minus 7x plus 6. First thing is this one looks different than the other two because of the fact that we have the x squared in there. So anytime you see an x squared, you want to try to factor it. So let's factor this. So this will factor down to, we're looking for numbers that multiply to 6 and combine to 7, which will be 6 and 1. So this will be x minus 1 and x minus 6. Okay, if you need help with factoring, go back and revisit the factoring video that I have earlier on in the course. Now we have two possible values for x. So once again, you can set these up equal to 0 and solve. So I have x minus 1 equals 0. Add 1 to both sides. So x cannot be 1. That's your first hot button. And your second hot button, that's what I like to call it. So do the same thing with the 6. X minus 6 equals 0. Add 6 to both sides. And x also cannot be a positive 6. So x can't be positive 1 and x can't be a positive 6. When it comes to finding your domain, why is it important to find it? Because when we start simplifying and doing more stuff with it, you want to keep this in the back of your mind, because what if you get an answer that is one of these? Then that can't be the possible answer. So you want to understand why we have to find the domain first before we can keep going.